Today we are going to start Social Studies Paper 2, Chapter 12, World During the World Wars, Part 3. We begin with the Economic Depression, which went on from 1929 to 1939. This is the longest and the worst economic decline faced by the world till date. During this decade, the economy declined all over the world because there was a decline in demand. As a result, there was a fall in prices. Because of the fall in prices, many of the factories were closed. Because there was no demand, factories were closed and production was reduced. When production reduced, the supply was less and the prices rose. As a result, people did not have the work and no income. So their purchasing power also became very low. Slowly, steadily, the demand for goods further fell. As a result, a massive unemployment was spread all over the world. Especially in America, 25% of the people became unemployed. Because of the closure of the factories, no production, and factories were closed, many people became unemployed. Similarly, the rest of the world also was facing the same situation, and the factories were closing because of the demand was falling for the goods. And the factories closed, the employment was lost, and many people became jobless. Rest of the world had 33% of the people became unemployed. As a result, the farmers also had to reduce their production because the purchasing power reduced and there were no one to buy the products. So 60% of the farm products were also reduced. The cultivation also reduced. As a result of it, the poverty rose all over the world and it resulted in great poverty, desolation, and homelessness. People became desolate. They left their homes and went out in search of jobs. And there were no jobs anywhere. The causes for this economic depression, various people had different opinions. The Marxist people, that is, the great economist Karl Marx and his followers, they believed that this was due to the capitalism, that is, the industrialists, they were going on increasing their manufacture and the prices were increasing for want of profits. Because of the high rate of prices, people did not buy. When people did not buy, the supply increased and the prices fell. As a result, there was no profits. The prices fell and demand increased, supply increased, and prices fell down. There were no profits, so they reduced their production. The factories reduced the production, resulting in high rates of prices. So they thought that capitalism was the main cause for economic depression all over the world. James Keynes, another great economist, feels that state was responsible. Here state means the government of a country. This he says that state was supposed to invest funds and generate employment in the country for the people so that they could revive the economy. In order to face this economic depression, US had taken several steps. As US was the first one to be influenced by the economic depression, it has taken the steps to face this and control. The President Franklin D. Roosevelt, he introduced a policy called the 3 Rs. That is, a policy of relief, reform, and recovery. Relief is he was providing relief to the people who were suffering for want of jobs. Reform was given to the people so that they could get jobs and earn some money to make their living. In recovery, and the government's intention was to recover the economy of the country by undertaking some large public works that was required for the people and their safety. By that time, the Second World War started, and where there was a great demand for the arms. So the first and foremost thing the country did was to establish arms and ammunition factories, So once the production started, employment was regenerated and people started working and getting income. So in this way, economy was slowly returning. America also introduced social security system in the country by providing basic facilities to all the people. They introduced many beneficiaries activities for the people, the pension system, unemployment insurance in order to provide employment, benefits for the child who did not have fathers, needy people, handicapped people, orphans, widows. So these benefits were being provided by the government in order to safeguard and secure the life of the people. Similar steps were taken by Britain also in order to face economic depression. Britain introduced unemployment doles, sickness coverage, basic child care, healthcare system schemes were provided, food and housing and health schemes were provided by the government for the people. In a way, they have sorted out a scheme called the welfare state, according to which steps were taken by the government for the benefit of the people of the country, such as permanent retirement pensions, unemployment insurance, welfare benefits for handicapped and needy families, and for the children of fatherless people. In this way, it paved a way for welfare state. Here, welfare state is the idea of a state to ensure a basic minimum and dignified life for all the citizens. Now let's see the impact of economic depression in Germany. Germany also faced severe crisis after the war due to the burden of war damages. After the First World War, according to the Treaty of Versailles, Germany and all allied countries had to pay great war indemnity or war damages to the victors. They lost their territory and they had to pay a lot of money. This was a great humiliating situation for Germany. In order to face this, Germany started printing currency notes. When the currency notes came into role, there was suddenly large scale currency was printed on large scale. As a result, it led to excessive inflation, that is, rise in prices. It was said that people had to carry currency in carts and to buy one loaf of bread. Here we can imagine what was the situation of the people. Many people became poor and they could not earn much money because the factories were shut, production was reduced due to less fall in demand. As a result, many people became jobless and unemployed. By 1932, industrial production reduced to 40% and 6 million people were unemployed. Many people were on the streets. They did not have jobs. They were wearing placards on their neck saying that we are ready to do any job. Many people were seen queued up in front of employment exchanges for want of job. As there was no job, youth took up criminal activities too. So, in a way, we can see that Germany was in total despair and the society was very much dissatisfied. Especially in the middle class people, they suffered a lot due to pauperization and unemployment. Farmers did not have support for their price and they reduced their production. As a result, the cost of the grains increased. People could not buy, so many people became paupers, and factories were closed, no jobs, so unemployment also increased. There was a sharp fall in agricultural prices, resulting in political instability. So many governments came in government in Germany, but they were not able to provide a stable government in Germany. Rise of fascism and Nazism. Fascism is the ideology that developed after the First World War in all the defeated countries. It's an idea of national unity to expand and win over other nations. After the First World War, allied countries had to meet a defeat and they were put under pressure by the victors in order to give war indemnity and lose their territories to the victors. This was a great humiliation for them, and they realized that it was a time for them to unite, and they believed in a strong belief in uniting the national provinces. The fascists believed on absolute loyalty and obedience to the central power. Against both communalism, they were against communalism and liberalism. They did not have any intention of democracy. They believed that dictatorial state is best for the country to unite the people. They believed in military expansion, and blood and iron was their motto. Mass mobilization of majority community was taken into concern in order to unite the provinces in Italy. Fascism was similar to that of Nazism of Hitler, with common features like nation worship, devotion to leader, extreme nationalism, and military conquest. They had leaders. They wanted to expand by military conquest and bring back the lost territories to the victors after the First World War. For this, they wanted to control capitalism and abolition of all private industries. They wanted to keep all the productive instruments into their hand and abolish the private industries so that all the capital could be controlled by the center. Fascism developed in the defeated countries for the humiliation faced due to Treaty of Versailles and also because of the economic depression. It actually began with the victory of Benito Mussolini in Italy in 1922. In the same way, in Germany, Hitler started the Nazi Party in 1933. Similar power came in Spain under the leadership of General Franco, who established a military campaign against democratic rule in 1939. In the far end, Japan also had the same version of fascism, and they began conquering China, Korea, etc. Let's see the conditions in Germany. In Germany, Hitler spread his ideas of Nazism by mobilizing the masses. Massive rallies were taken up under the red banners with swastika, the Nazi salute, and the ritual rounds of applause after his speech. Adolf Hitler was a great orator and he attracted his mass people with his speeches. He promised to establish the racial supremacy of Aryans over the world. He targeted minority communities like Jews, communists, and capitalists on the name of Jewish conspiracies. He appealed to middle class to rise them from depression. He promised that he would provide job for all the unemployed people. He made the people believe that Jews were the main cause of the defeat in the First World War. They were conspiring against the government. Due to his propaganda of a better future, his party won 37% votes in 1932 in the Reichstag, that is, the lower house of German parliament. As soon as Hitler came to power, he declared himself against Democratic Party and started arbitrary arrests of political opponents, putting them in concentration camps. Anybody who turned against him were arrested and put in the concentration camps. On 3rd March 1933, he passed a famous enabling act for establishing dictatorship. He got all powers into his hand in order to sideline parliament, have a rule by his order, so that parliament did not have any say in the administration. In order to control the opponents, he immediately established special surveillance and security forces who were in green uniforms called SA, and the stormtroopers called Gestapo was also formed. He gave full authority to the Gestapo in order to detain the people, to torture chambers, round up and send them to the concentration camps. They had the power to deport or arrest anybody at their will without any legal procedures. Millions of political activists, trade unionists, minority communities, especially the Jews, were targeted in order to build a state of horror and fear. With this policy, he wanted to put all the people under control. and anybody who raised their head against him were immediately punished. Anyone who gave support or sanctuary to such people, they were also punished very severely. For economic recovery, Hajmara Halmarsat was assigned for full production and full employment through state-funded work creation program. People's car Volkswagen was produced. In this way, the factories were started and people started getting employment and they got faith in Hitler. Every child and old gave full support to Hitler. Slowly and steadily, the living standards improved in Germany. Heavy investments were in armaments industry led to the wars with neighbors to regain the lost territories. Their main intention was to regain the lost territories. For that, they had to invest arms and armaments. And when arms and armaments are produced, it has to be used. So a war is required. So in this way, the armament industries were established, and slowly and steadily, the neighboring territories were attacked. That was the beginning of the Second World War. In 1939, Germany attacked Poland, which was the start of the Second World War. Poland was supported by Britain, France, and USA, and Russia. So Germany took the other side. In the course of the racial supremacy, Germans led mass killings called genocidal wars. In this, 60 million Jews, 2 million Gypsies, 10 million Polish, 70,000 Germans, and mentally and physically disabled people were all killed in mass killings in gas chamber centers called Auschwitz. In this way, Hitler has put an end to all the opponents and anybody who turned against him. That's all for today, children. We'll continue in the next video. So after you go through this video, answer the following questions in your classwork. Thank you, children. Have a good day.